Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the annual general meeting for Black Lives Matter Sudbury. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:27 p.m. I'd now like to introduce Veronica for our land acknowledgement and ancestral acknowledgement.
Hi, everyone. We would like to acknowledge that we are presenting here today from Ntswakamok, colonially known as Sudbury. This land on which we learn, work, and live is in the Robertson-Huron Treaty Territory. We are located on the traditional lands of the Atikameksheng Anishinaabeg and the Wanapitei First Nation. We recognize that reconciliation does not begin and end with the land acknowledgement, and truth in reconciliation includes active decolonization, uplifting Indigenous ways of learning and knowing, as well as unlearning settler colonial ways of living. And for the ancestral acknowledgement, we would like to acknowledge the legacy of slavery in this country and the enslaved African people whose labor was exploited for generations to help establish the colonial lands that we now call Canada. Let us recognize the histories of this country as complicit with racism and white supremacy, and furthermore acknowledge that the end of slavery was followed by a series of ongoing discriminatory and repressive practices and laws. I would now like to pass it back to Shayna for the voting instructions.
Thank you very much, Veronica. So again, welcome to Black Lives Matter Sudbury's 2024 annual general meeting. The organization, of course, was officially brought together and registered as a nonprofit in mid-2020, September of 2020. We are holding this meeting of the members of the corporation to update you on our business activities so far this year and to celebrate our successes as well. So voting members of BLMS are those who have applied and been accepted for membership into the corporation as determined by the board. All members were notified of this meeting and provided a meeting package to review before the meeting. So as a member who are on this call with us, you have voting rights at this meeting. As the meeting moves forward, a number of motions will be brought forward and you will be asked to vote. We will ask for a mover and a seconder for each motion. Please use the raise hand feature to indicate whether you'd like to move or second the motion. The person making the motion will call your name and you can put your hand down. If at that point your name is not called, we ask that you lower your hand as well. After this, the motioner will once again ask you to use the raise hand feature to say that if you are in favor, opposed, or abstain. You'll have those three options. So first will be all in favor, any against, any abstentions, and then it will be either the motion was carried or what have you, and that's how we will vote as we move forward. So on that note, I'd like to introduce Rana, who is the chair of Black Lives Matter Sudbury, and to bring to the orders of the day.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. Like Shayna said, my name is Rana Ikundayo, and I am the chair of Black Lives Matter Sudbury. So BLM Sudbury was created, of course, in 2020 as a response to the growing need to call out racial injustice in Sudbury, Ontario. Okay, I'm now going to go through our orders of the day. So we're going to begin this meeting with the adoption of this evening's agenda after following our opening remarks, of course. So with that being said, first about Black Lives Matter Sudbury. Black Lives Matter Sudbury is an organization that's committed to fighting systemic racism in all its forms, demanding that society and all levels of government address and fix the root causes of racism in all social institutions through an intersectional lens. In addition to fighting against anti-Blackness, we create spaces to build our community through alternative forms of education, programming events for communities, and supporting cultural creation. We believe that we create our own liberation through our commitment to thrive and build beautifully. Here's our agenda for this evening. So, of course, we begin with our call to order and our opening remarks, and then the adoption of the agenda following the completion of me reading the agenda. We'll move into an adoption of the minutes of our previous meeting. a review and approval of our financial statements done by the treasurer. My report as the chair, the communications report by the director of communications, introduction of new board members, acceptance and approval of the board of directors, and volunteer and sponsor recognition, and a year in review, and then we'll of course adjourn. So the minutes. Okay. So first of all, I'm in a motion to adopt the agenda of January 21st, 2025 as circulated. May I get a mover? Moved by Everest. May I have a seconder? Seconded by Shayna. At this time, we can use the raise hand features to do the voting. So all in favor, please use the raise hand function at this moment. You may now lower your hands. All opposed? And any abstentions? Perfect. The motion carried with 11 in favor, no opposed, and none abstained. I would also now like to motion to approve the minutes of January 16th, 2024, our previous meeting, as circulated. May I get a mover? Moved by Veronica. May I have a seconder? Seconded by Shayna. At this time, you may once again use the reaction features, raise hand. All in favor, please raise your hand. You may now lower your hands. Thank you. All opposed, please raise your hand. And any abstentions? Excellent. The motion carried with 10 in favor. Okay. I would now like to, we will therefore move to our financial and organizational business of BLM Sudbury. At this point, I would like to ask Shayna Calix-Pitawanakwat, our treasurer, to present our profit and loss statement for 2024 and our 2025 budget. Shayna?
Thank you very much, Rana. So next slide, please. So a copy of the profit and loss statement and budget was provided for each member electronically before this meeting. I will now present the profit and loss statement from the 2024 year, and then I will present the budget after. So as you will see, from January 1st to December 31st, we brought in about $12,000, just under $13,000 for the year. We received $4,300 in donations. Unfortunately, we didn't apply for any grants last year, so we did not bring any grant money in. We did have a couple of fundraisers, and we were able to raise $680. And our largest line were our sponsorships, and that is during our February event, our Northern Caucus, where we brought in over $7,800. Of course, we always have a little bit of interest on that, so our total revenue for the year was $12,884. In terms of our expenses, we spent $13,000, a little over $13,000 on our community projects. That includes things like the Northern Caucus, our policing free schools, as well as our Pride teach-in that we did in July. We also have some office expenses, Zoom and other things like that, as well as our, as you see at the bottom, our administrative expenses, which includes board expenses, as well as our accountant expenses. This year, we also had a microgrants project, which we've pulled out specifically to show that we've put out $4,820 into our community for Black individuals living in Sudbury. We also provided charitable contributions to other organizations, just over $1,000 as well. So in that way, we had $21,514.42 worth of expenses. That means this year we have a net loss of $8,630.42. Although that seems concerning, it isn't, as a result of the fact that our organization is very open to moving our funds that we have brought in out into community, and this is the way we've done so. In many of our community projects, we provide honoraria, so a lot of that funding went into the hands of individuals, mainly Black, racialized, Indigenous, and queer individuals in our community. So I'll show you the next slide. So the board met in January to discuss our budget for the year of 2025. So we're hoping that we will once again receive donations and also sponsorships. But we're also applying for a number of grants this year. We've already started on that. So hoping to see some successful grants this year. We also have put in some funding into a GIC this year. So we're hoping to gain some interest from that as well. We then, of course, have put out some expenses for community projects and office expenses. The micro grants, which we just ran last week, actually, or a couple weeks ago, hoping again to put out $5,000 into community. We like to provide some charitable contributions, and again, we'll continue to have our administrative expenses. So that is our budget for this year. So if I could see the next slide, please. So I'd like to get a motion to accept the budget for the year ended 2025 as recommended by the Board of Directors. So please use your raise hand feature. May I get a mover? I have AJ as the mover. May I have a seconder, please? I have Shannon as a seconder. You can now lower your hands. So now I'll ask all in favor of this motion. Please use your raise hand feature. We have 7 in favor. Any opposed? Please, you can lower your hands. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion is carried. Thank you very much. So now I will pass it back to Rana to talk a little bit about the state of our organization through our reports.
Thank you, Shayna. So our reports is an exciting opportunity for us to share some ongoings within the organization. And I will begin with my chair's report. So I'm once again proud to be the chair of Black Lives Matter Sudbury for another year. And this past year, we have 4 active board members to date and 20 active committee members, which is very exciting. We've done numerous collaborations, released statements, actions to the community in support and in solidarity of community groups, members, and ongoing initiatives fighting for the rights of marginalized people across Nuswakamak. We did a series of initiatives this year that we are very proud of. As Shayna mentioned, we did our first Rise Fund in January of 2024, which was our mutual aid support. In February, we hosted a collaborative QT BIPOC open mic night with Pride Laurentian. We also hosted Community in Action, our 4th annual Northern Caucus, where we had a series of exciting community-oriented events, keynote panel, and other panels, including conversations on activating change, Black activism in Nuswakamak, community empowerment, direct action and safety, and We Keep Us Safe, imagining decolonial futures. In June of last year, we also hosted, we're part of a collaborative panel discussion, Imagining the Future We Want to Live in, alongside other community organizations such as Miss Mears Community Arts and the Indie Cinema. In May, we released our Pride is Abolitionist statement, and which followed our community pride teach-in that we hosted at the ISLC at Laurentian. In November, we released our collaborative No Peace on Stolen Lands, Black Lives for Palestine statement alongside other Black activist organizations across this country. We also released the Homes Not Handcuffs, Investing in Our Community email campaign in action, which was following a support of the community petition for redirection of police stations funds to support houseless communities across Sudbury. And then in December, we released a statement denouncing anti-Black racism at Food Basics and demanding accountability. This month, we are currently in the process of wrapping up our annual Rise Fund mutual aid, as we mentioned, and in the coming months, we'll be sharing details on our 5-year retrospective as we're about to celebrate the 5-year birth of Black Lives Matter Sudbury. And with that, I would like to motion that the chair's report be accepted by the general membership. May I get a mover? Moved by Isaac. May I have a seconder? Seconded by AJ. All in favor, please use your raise hand function. Thank you. You may lower your hand. All opposed? And any abstentions? Excellent. The motion is carried. I would now like to present Isaac Vinepool, our Director of Communications, to present the annual communications report.
Thank you, Rihanna. Hi, everyone. As Rihanna mentioned, my name is Isaac, and I am very proud to be the Director of Communications at Black Lives Matter Sudbury. So over the past year, Black Lives Matter Sudbury has continued to foster and grow a strong online community that spans across Northern Ontario and extends across Turtle Island. Our online presence remains a cornerstone of our efforts to engage and interact with community members, amplify critical voices, and of course, promote meaningful change. As an organization founded during the onset of the pandemic in 2020, we have developed and refined robust digital tools and strategies to maintain dynamic virtual environments. And of course, this foundation has been pivotal in enabling us to connect with individuals and organizations located in Esquacamack and also beyond. In 2024, we leveraged our social media platforms to uplift and collaborate with local nonprofit organizations committed to anti-racism and advocacy for racialized and queer communities. Of course, beyond amplifying this work, we've also continued to create and share impactful educational content and statements that resonate with our communities and our audiences. We remain active across multiple platforms. On Instagram, our following has grown to over 3,200, with a total reach of more than 80,000. On Facebook, we've maintained over 1,600 followers and a reach of over 70,000 across all of our posts. As folks may know, we have a newsletter. However, now our newsletter is used as a tool to communicate urgent updates to community members about events and actions happening within Esquacamack, and that newsletter now has 600 subscriptions. This past year, we've also made the decision to stop using Twitter/X. The platform's rapid decline in usability, accessibility, and alignment with our organizational values has made it clear that we should no longer engage there, as it was no longer productive, sustainable. So instead, we're focusing on platforms where we can meaningfully interact and engage with our community. Of course, accessibility continues to be a priority. We continue to provide bilingual content in both English and French to address language barriers within our communities. And then, of course, for our educational panels, we offer ASL and interpretation and are committed to offering hybrid participation as we expand our in-person programming. This year, we continue to maximize our media opportunities to increase awareness and visibility, securing coverage in many articles and radio features. And of course, highlights include Sudbury.com, CBC News, EC Radio Canada, and CBC Radio Morning North. The work that BLMS does with all of our amazing volunteers has been instrumental in achieving our communication goals this year. Together, we have drafted and edited statements, resources, and public-facing materials. We've also maintained strong relationships with reporters and media outlets. We've created graphics and managed advocacy-based social media promotions to sustain an engaging presence. And then, of course, we continue to update our website, blmsudbury.ca, with current information and resources to keep our community informed. As we look ahead, we are committed to building on these successes and continue doing the great work that we do within Northern Ontario and beyond. Next slide, please. Now, may I get a motion that the Director of Communications report be accepted by general membership? May I get a mover? Moved by Shayna. May I get a seconder? Seconded by Everest. At this time, you may vote using the raise hand feature. All in favor? Great, thank you. You can put your hands down now. All opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, motion carried. I now present Selena to present our new board member and to open the nomination process. Thank you.
Thank you, Isaac. My name is Selena. I'm a member of Black Lives Matter Sudbury. Black Lives Matter Sudbury has had a small change on our board this year. We have one board member resign. We wish to thank ER for his dedication and ample contributions to the work of Black Lives Matter Sudbury, and we wish him all the best in his future endeavors. Black Lives Matter Sudbury is happy to share that we have had a new member join our board. Please welcome Veronica. Veronica is the newest appointed board member of Black Lives Matter Sudbury and has been an active member since 2023. A proud Black woman born and raised by Ashanti parents who settled in Canada, Veronica is deeply committed to activism, colonial resistance, and the fight against anti-Black racism. Having lived in Nuswakamak for over 8 years, she is passionate about advocating for justice in her local community and beyond. As an advocate for social change, Veronica works tirelessly to address systemic oppression and uplift marginalized voices. She's dedicated to challenging the structures that perpetuate racial inequities and is driven to create a future where Black communities can thrive free from discrimination. Now, may I get a motion that Veronica be accepted by the membership as a director on the Black Lives Matter Sudbury Board of Directors? May I get a mover? Moved by Shayna. And may I get a seconder? Seconded by AJ. At this time, you may vote using the raise hand feature. All in favor? Okay, you may lower your hands. Any opposed? And any abstained? Perfect, the motion is carried. Welcome, Veronica. And now I would like to introduce the board members for 2025. So without further ado, I introduce Rana, Shayna, Isaac, and Veronica. Now may I get a motion that the following 4 individuals be accepted to sit on Black Lives Matter Sudbury's 2025-2026 Board of Directors? May I get a mover? Moved by Shannon. And may I get a seconder? Seconded by Everest. And at this time, you may vote using the raise hand feature. All in favor? Okay, you may lower your hands. Any opposed? And any abstain? The motion is carried. In terms of vacancies, we're always open to new board members to help support the work of the organization. At this time, our board would benefit from someone who has legal and human resources experience to assist us with decision making. We hope you will help spread the word and direct potential applicants to our chair to discuss the obligations and expectations of board members. We accept applications year-round. I'll now pass it back to Rana.
Thank you so much, Selena. I would now like to take a moment to do our recognition and our year in review, and do special thanks for our membership and a look back on some of our initiatives from this past year. So Black Lives Matter Sudbury, we were incredibly dependent on our community and our volunteers. So we just want to take a moment to say thank you to everyone so much for your continued support and dedication to the organization. We would like to sincerely thank everyone who has put the time and energy into this organization and want to recognize the people who keep BLMS going. So thank you to Adania, AJ, Akili, Alex M, Alex S, Andrea, Cecilia, Connor, Everest, Krishna, Lauren, Mathieu, Sam, Selena, Shannon, and Sophia. Thank you all for being dedicated members to this organization. We couldn't do the work that we do without you all. We'd also like to take a moment to thank our donors and monthly sponsors who have supported Black Lives Matter Sudbury over the past year. It is through your generosity that we're able to continue offering community-oriented and accessible programming. So thank you to Marika, AJ, Audrey, Vanessa, and Kate. Black Lives Matter Sudbury, we work a lot in community and with a lot of partners. As you can see by this massive list here, we are incredibly proud to continue to work with other community organizations, to work in solidarity and collaborate with other organizations to share expertise, resources, and knowledge. So thank you to Afro Heritage Association, Afro Women and Youth, Amber Hill Gallery, Blackbird Studio, Black Lives Matter Canada, Black Lives Matter Negotiable, Black Lives Matter Vancouver, Cameron College, Canadian Mental Health Association Sudbury Manitoulin, Centre de Santé Communautaire de Grand Sudbury, Centre Victoria pour Femmes, Coalition for a Livable Sudbury, Collège Boréal, Compass, Duplicators, Fierté Sudbury Pride, Future North, Creator Sudbury Public Library, Health Sciences North, Indigenous Students Circle, Laurentian University African Caribbean Students Association, or LUACSA, Nicole Refillery, McEwen School of Architecture, Miss Samira's Community Arts, Ontario English Catholic Teacher Association, Ontario Public Services Employees Union, Papaya Pops, Policing Free Schools, Pride Laurentian, Public Health Sudbury and Districts, Réseau Access Network, Science North, Sex Workers Advocacy Network Sudbury, Sudbury Indie Cinema, Sudbury Workers Education Advocacy Center, Uplift Black, Yes Theater, and the YWCA. We'd now like to take a moment just to offer you folks a quick slideshow recapping the work that we've done in this past year. Perfect. And with that, I would like to do a motion to close the annual general meeting of Black Lives Matter Sudbury. May I have a mover? Moved by Everest. May I have a seconder? Seconded by Sam. All in favor, please use your raise hand feature. Thank you. You may lower your hands. All opposed? Any abstentions? Excellent. So at this point, the motion is carried to close the annual general meeting of Black Lives Matter Sudbury. I would just like to leave us with some words of civil rights activist, businesswoman Viola Desmond. Do your little bit of good where you are. It's those little bits of good put together that overwhelm the world. And with that, we will adjourn. Thank you all so much. We look forward to seeing you folks next year and for another exciting year of events and initiatives of Black Lives Matter Sudbury. Remember to stay tuned on our social media channels and never forget, Black Lives Matter today, tomorrow, always. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.